Today on Down to the Wire, Arsenal welcomes Mesut Ozil. Goal scoring galore. The Champions League record for most goals in the first day is broken. Three of a kind. Edmonton locks down Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for their top three players. And the Franzen conflict. The Leafs still haven't signed Cody Franzen. Today is September 21st, 2013, and this is Down to the Wire. I'm Andrés Franken, this is Shawn Da Silva, and this is episode number 2 of our podcast. And as you can see, we have a new location. Last time around, the lighting wasn't the greatest, so hopefully this is a lot better. And let's get to it. So our first story, Arsenal. Mesut Ozil, with that big transition from Madrid to Arsenal, something we talked about actually in the last show, about how he might move, and making an impact right away.
Yep, for sure. We always knew that Ozil was a very talented player. Real Madrid getting rid of him, questionable on their part, but definitely for Arsenal, he's going to definitely impact them in the long run. Right away off the bat, he assists Giroud's goal right away. He's making quite the impact, and he'll definitely help Arsenal in the long run.
For sure, and now Arsenal moving up in the standings, second behind Liverpool, and as we speak, Liverpool just finished their game. They lost theirs against Southampton, so Arsenal has a chance to move up into first place in the league. Huge for them. And speaking of the assist that he had for Giroud and Bentek once again scoring last week. It seemed like the international break had no impact, nothing really changed. They're still on a hot streak, so that's amazing for them.
That's beneficial for Arsenal. Definitely, if they can keep going at this pace, Arsenal could finish number 1 in the long run. If they keep going, it's a very slim chance, but with Manchester United creeping up there. But you never know.
And moving on to the Champions League last week, like we said at the beginning of the show, 30 goals in the first day. 3.75 goals per game, highest ever, and some of the big stars scoring in the first day.
The likes of Ronaldo scoring a hat-trick, Wayne Rooney getting 2 goals there, PSG finishing 4-1 in their game. There's a lot of goal scoring in the first game, and he continued into the second game with Barca winning 4-0, Messi scoring his hat-trick. So a lot of goal scoring, a lot of great goals as well, and this Champions League seems to be off to a very great start.
Yeah, and some really entertaining matches. I mean, all matches are entertaining when there's that many goals.
Yep, for sure.
But it should be interesting to watch. I mean, there's a lot of contenders this year. A lot of people are saying Bayern might take it again. But, there's some really good teams. What are your thoughts on how it's going to go down this year?
Well, it's hard to say this early, but you have Man U off to a great start. Chelsea off to a disappointing start. Real Madrid looking very great with the addition of Gareth Bale. He seemed to spark their 6-1 drought over Galatasaray. When he came on, that's when the goal scoring started to happen. So he's definitely making a positive impact on his team. And as for Barca, they're always going to be a great team no matter what. Neymar not making that much of an impact yet, but once he starts going, you never know what they're going to do with their team. So yep, definitely some competition for Bayern to see if they can win it again, but there is a chance.
All right, moving on to the NHL, our biggest story of the week in the NHL, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with a 7-year, $42 million contract. Now, Taylor Hall and Jordan Eberle are also, they had their contracts renewed last year. They're all getting $6 million a year now. I mean, this is huge for the Oilers and their future. What do you think the impact is going to be this season as opposed to later on? I mean, later on it's obviously going to be a very positive thing for them, but how soon do you think the Oilers are going to start being a great team?
Well, they're under new management, of course, over Dallas Eakins, great coach for the Marlies, and now he's headed to the Oilers to see if he can make that young team cup contender, and he definitely has the players to do so. And locking down Nugent-Hopkins, great move by them. He did not have a great year last year, 4 goals, but he did have 20 assists. Now watch for him, Eberle, and
Taylor Hall
to do great things in the future. As for their management, they have to get used to the setup, but they will do great things in the future, definitely for Edmonton. They're going to be a cup contender. I'd say give them a couple of years, they'll be pushing for the playoffs a lot and maybe deep into the playoffs as well.
Yeah, and like you said, last year, sort of disappointing for Nugent Hopkins, only the 4 goals. But you have to remember, this guy's only 20 years old. And a couple years ago, the 2011-2012 season, in the 62 games, he had 52 points. That's fantastic numbers for a guy his age. Yep. So, like we said, a great move. Obviously, the Oilers organization has confidence in Hopkins' talent, and it should be really fun to watch them next few years.
Yeah, for sure. But they can't keep handing these big contracts to everyone. They have the likes of Neil Yakupov and everyone, all those other young kids still have to be signed. And if they're going to expect the same amount of money, Edmonton's not going to be able to do that much. They're going to have to start handing out smaller contracts. Definitely smarter than to lock down these 3, but as for Neil Yakupov and everyone else that's going to be there, they're going to have to give them smaller contracts in the future.
Yeah, and speaking of smaller contracts, Nazem Kadri finally being signed. I mean, Leafs fans are all happy about that. It was huge here in Toronto, and really exciting. I mean, last season, 44 points, really his breakout season. Sure, he's got that small 2-year contract now, but I mean, this could be huge. If Kadri keeps up the level that he had last season for the entire 82-game season, this could be amazing for them. I mean, what are your thoughts on this guy? I mean, his performance last year, just outstanding.
Yeah, for sure. Nazem Kadri, definitely a big player for the Leafs to get signed. If they did not get signed, they were in trouble in their front end, especially that number 2 center that he clearly is. He could even push for a number 1 in the Leafs. So with him being signed, it's great. In the preseason already, 2 goals, a great goal in the first game of the preseason. He's showing spark, and he showed some feistiness too against Ottawa in the last preseason game. So expect him to not get pushed around. He's definitely going to be showing the same kind of performance that he was last year for sure.
Yeah, and switching to the other side of the spectrum, who's not getting signed, Franson. I mean, what's going on with this guy? Do you think he's going to get the contract or not?
With Cody Franson, it's kind of a tough situation. The Leafs want to offer him the same kind of 2-year contract that they did with Nazem Kadri. They only have $1.9 million left. So it is kind of confusing. Franson wants only a 1-year contract, but then think about this way. If the Leafs give him a 1-year deal, they have to re-sign him next year if he plays good. And they also have the likes of Phaneuf and Phil Kessel as a free agent next year. So they have a lot to do. So I would think the best bet for the Leafs is to get him 2 years. But right now the contract talks are going nowhere, reportedly. Franson wants that 1 year. The Leafs want the 2 year. And they're not pushing for anything more or less. So with that being said, they have the likes of Mason Raymond also in the run for a contract. He's definitely pushing. His speed in this preseason, in his pro tryout, it's incredible, and he's showing a lot of signs of the Mason Raymond of old. Last year, he did not put up that many points for Vancouver, 10 goals, 12 assists in 46 games, but he's definitely showing some signs of improvement, and he really wants to be a Leaf, so who knows what's going to happen with the Leafs contract situation right now.
Yeah, and Raymond might be the one that ends up getting it because Cody Franson is a great young player. I mean, personally, I would love to have him back on the Leafs. But now they have the likes of Paul Ranger also, who could make a top 4 defenseman for the Leafs. Because Paul Ranger, I mean, this guy took a few years off hockey, but he had a great year last year with the Marlies. With the Marlies, he was putting up pretty solid numbers. I mean, 25 points in 52 games for the AHL. That's not bad, especially for a defenseman. And you got to remember that when this guy stopped playing, when he was playing with the Lightning, he was putting up solid numbers as well. I mean, 28, 31, 13 points a season. That was a weaker season, but still, that's pretty decent. Ranger could compete for that spot that Franson's still trying to get.
Yep, the Leafs have reportedly 11 defensemen, I think, that are there available if Franson does not sign, including Morgan Rielly, young player, very talented player, and he could definitely fit into the Leafs roster as well if Franson does not sign. Reportedly, Franson does have options in Europe though, as he played in the Swedish league last year. So during the lockout, look for Franson. If the contract talks go nowhere, that's definitely an option for him. But the Leafs definitely have a lot of depth, and they could easily move on without him, but definitely a key player that the Leafs should try to get signed. But with Mason Raymond, Morgan Riley, and Ranger there, I don't know what's going to happen with Franzen. If he does not budge into a 2-year deal, the Leafs might just let him walk.
All right, and now let's get on to some of the newer segments of our show. Our shocker of the week for our team that's disappointing, this one was a no-brainer, Chelsea. I mean, what's happening there with Mourinho? The 2-1 loss against Basel. Before that, 1-0 against Everton in the league. It's tough times for Chelsea fans right now. I mean, it's still early, but things are not going the way that they expected for Mourinho's return.
Yeah, for sure. Mourinho has it tough as he's trying to change the system in Chelsea and the style, but he needs the results, and they're clearly not getting it. Losing 2-1 to Basel in the Champions League. First goal, obviously Oscar scoring early, 44th minute, late in the half, 1-0 for Chelsea, and they seem to be off to a great start, but then that's when it went downhill in the second half. Goal scored by Salah in the 71st minute, and then it went downhill again in the 81st minute when Streller scored. So, Chelsea definitely showing signs that they're struggling right now. And in this game particularly, they had no finish and they were exposed on the counterattack. So, who knows what's going to happen. Hazard is non-existent in this Champions League game as well. So, definitely the shocker of the week.
Yeah, and like we said on our first show during the pilot, Mourinho likes to stick with a solid starting 11. But this is tough because he has a lot of options, and obviously what he's been trying so far isn't working the way he wants. But we'll see. And moving on to game of the week, this one I think was probably the best league in the Premier League last week. Swansea versus Liverpool, fantastic game. Shelvey, Jonjo Shelvey, with a crazy couple of minutes. Ex-Liverpool man, so looking to get started with this game, and he scores right away, trying really hard. But then a minute later, gives it away to Sturridge, right in front of the keeper. Liverpool ties the game 1-1. I mean, this one would go on to finish 2-2, but it was non-stop action, just back and forth. And Michu finally getting off. He's had a slow start and finally scoring his first goal in the league, so that was good for him.
Yeah, and I think Shelvey was on the goal-scoring sheet for both sides as he assisted both of Liverpool's goals and he scored one of his and assisted the other one. So he was there for all 4 goals.
Yeah, this one's not one that he's gonna forget anytime soon. Moving on to our goal of the week, or rather goals of the week this week, because it was difficult to decide. And the first one, Ronaldo, with that wonderful play.
Yep, definitely. Ronaldo coming down the wing, Benzema across to him. He had a lot of work to still be done, and against Galatasaray, he just makes them look silly as he dances around 2, gets around the other, and then puts it top corner. The goalkeeper didn't have a chance as he barely got his arms up before the ball was in the net. So, great goal by Ronaldo, showing signs that he's not stopping right now.
And the second one that we decided on, I mean, there was so many goals to choose from, like we said. Record-breaking day for the Champions League. There was that wonderful Messi free kick also. Toure with an amazing strike from distance. But we decided on a lesser-known name, Vladimir Weiss of Olympiacos versus PSG, with a similar play to Ronaldo, also getting past a couple players, nutmegging one of them, and a nice finish also.
Yep, great finish by him, and Olympiacos looked to be off to a great start, but fell at the end.
Yeah. And all right, now for the last segment, this is head-to-head, and for this, we're going to start making weekly predictions, and we'll see what happens. Our first game to predict in the Premier League, tomorrow's game, the Manchester Derby, and who do you have?
Definitely a great game to watch. It's going to be even match throughout the whole thing, but I'm saying Manchester United 4-2 over Manchester City, just because Joe Hart is so unpredictable, and he's shaky in that net, so Manchester United definitely going to take this one.
Oh, we're choosing scorelines too. I didn't know that. I just picked the team. Well, I'm actually going to go with Manchester City. I mean, yes, it's really close right now. They're one behind the other in the table, but Manchester City's at home. I mean, Manchester United did have that good Champions League game, but you got to remember that they lost to Liverpool at home earlier in the season, so I'm going to go with Manchester City.
Okay.
And for the second game that we picked, for the Spanish League, Valencia and Sevilla, these two teams struggling so much. Sevilla's dead last. Valencia's all the way down there too. I'm going to go with Valencia just because they're playing at home, so I think that's going to play to their benefit. They lost Soldado. That's obviously frustrating for them. I mean, you wouldn't think that one single player would affect the team so much, but it has been. And yeah, I'm going to go with Valencia on this one. I feel like they're finally going to get their 3 points, although they've gotten one, but these three are going to be important if they get it.
Well, I'm going with Sevilla. They're definitely just going to blow Valencia out of the water. Well, maybe not out of the water, but I'm definitely thinking that they're going to beat Valencia this week.
All right, and that pretty much concludes it for this week. Thank you for the people that watched our pilot. Hopefully we're improving. We've been taking some of your advice, and hopefully we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Yep, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks.